The medical droid's voice was cold and final. "She's dying." Obi-Wan Kenobi stood over Padmé Amidala's body, her breath fading with every second. The twins had just been born, Luke and Leia, crying in the background. But their mother was slipping away, and Obi-Wan refused to let that happen. He placed both hands over her chest, eyes closed. The Force flowed through him warm, desperate, alive. He wasn't a healer, not like the Jedi of old, but he had seen too much death already. Anakin was gone. The Republic was gone. He would not lose her too. Her heartbeat stuttered, then steadied. The droid's sensors blinked in confusion. Her vital signs are stabilizing. Bail Organa stepped forward, his face a mixture of shock and relief. "Obi-Wan, what did you do?" "What I had to," Obi-Wan whispered, exhausted. He looked down at Padme. Her eyes fluttered open barely. She was weak, broken, but alive. "The babies," she breathed. "They're safe," Obi-Wan said softly. "You're all safe." But even as he said it, he knew the truth. Padmé Amidala could not return to Naboo. She could not appear in the Senate. If Vader discovered she lived, he would tear the galaxy apart to find her. Bail understood immediately. "We fake her death. A state funeral. The Empire will believe it." Obi-Wan nodded. It was the only way. Padme's hand gripped his. "Anakin." Tears filled her eyes. "He doesn't know, does he, that I'm no," Obi-Wan said quietly. "And he cannot, not ever. Because if Darth Vader learned his wife still lived, if he learned his children existed, the galaxy would burn." Padme closed her eyes. And so, the greatest secret of the Empire was born. The funeral was perfect. Too perfect. Thousands lined the streets of Theed. Naboo wept for its fallen queen, its senator, its daughter. The procession moved slowly through the city, draped in white and blue, surrounded by flowers and silence. Inside, the ornate casket lay a body, but it wasn't Padmé Amidala. Miles away, on a forgotten moon in the Outer Rim, the real Padme sat in a dim, cold room, watching her own funeral on a holoscreen. Bail Organa stood beside her. "The Emperor believes you're gone. Vader believes it too. You're safe now." Padme said nothing. Her hands trembled in her lap. She had just given birth. Her body ached. Her heart ached worse. "My children," she whispered. "Where are they?" Bail's voice was gentle. "Leia is with me, on Alderaan. She'll grow up as my daughter loved, protected. And Luke, Tatooine," Obi-Wan said, stepping into the room. His face was lined with exhaustion. "With your family. Owen and Beru will raise him." Far from the Empire's eyes, Padme's breath caught. "Separated? You're separating them? It's the only way," Obi-Wan said quietly. "If Palpatine discovers twins, if he connects them to Anakin, he will use them, or destroy them." Tears spilled down Padme's cheeks. She had survived Mustafar, survived childbirth, but this was a different kind of death. "I'll never hold them," she said, voice breaking. "I'll never hear them laugh." "Never." Bail placed a hand on her shoulder. "One day, Padme, when the Empire falls, I promise you." But even he didn't know if that day would ever come. On Coruscant, deep within the Imperial Palace, Darth Vader stood alone in his meditation chamber. He could still feel her, just for a moment. And then, nothing. 15 years. 15 years of silence, of hiding, of watching her children from a distance she could never cross. But the galaxy was burning, and Padmé Amidala refused to hide any longer. She stood in the center of a secret rebel base on Tatooine. Around her Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, and a handful of trusted leaders. They didn't know her real name. They couldn't. To them, she was Mara Navarra, a former advisor, a strategist, a survivor of the Clone Wars. No one questioned her. No one looked too closely. But Bail knew. And so did Mon Mothma. The Emperor grows stronger every day. Mon Mothma said, her voice calm but heavy, "We need more than hope. We need leadership, vision." Padme stepped forward. Her voice was steady, sharp. Then we give them something the Empire can never take. We give them the truth. We remind the galaxy what freedom looks like. Bail met her eyes. There was pride there, and worry, because Padme wasn't just risking herself anymore. She was risking everything. Across the galaxy, on Alderaan, 15-year-old Bail Organa sat in her father's study, listening to reports of rebel activity. She didn't know it yet, but her mother was leading the very movement she dreamed of joining. And on Tatooine, Luke Skywalker stared at the twin suns, restless and aching for something more. Neither of them knew the woman who had given them life was still fighting, still hoping, still waiting for the day she could tell them the truth. But in the shadows of Coruscant, deep within the Imperial Palace, Darth Vader felt a disturbance, a presence, familiar, impossible. He turned toward the viewport, his breath mechanical and cold. "She's dead," he whispered to himself. But the Force whispered back, "Is she?" The Imperial Security Bureau didn't make mistakes. At least, that's what they believed. Agent Kallus stood in the dim briefing room on Coruscant, staring at the holoscreen. Around him, a dozen intelligence officers watched in silence. The recording played again, a rebel transmission, intercepted 3 days ago, encrypted, decoded. A woman's voice, calm, strong, commanding. "We fight not for revenge, but for the galaxy we once believed in." Kallus froze the playback. "Run it again." Voice analysis. The system hummed. Numbers flashed across the screen. Vocal patterns, syntax, cadence. Then, a match. 97.6% probability. Padmé Amidala. The room went silent. One officer spoke, his voice shaking. That's impossible. Senator Amidala died 15 years ago. We have records. We have a body." Kallus interrupted. "We have a body. But did anyone verify it was hers?" No one answered. Kallus leaned forward, his jaw tight. "Pull every file, every medical record, every holocam from her funeral. I want to know if we buried a ghost." Within hours, the truth began to surface. The medical droid's records from Polis Massa erased, the autopsy report fabricated, the casket sealed before inspection, Bail Organa's involvement, Obi-Wan Kenobi's presence. It all pointed to one impossible conclusion. Padmé Amidala had been hidden. And now, she was leading the rebellion. Kallus closed the file. His hands trembled. "We need to inform Lord Vader." The officer beside him paled. "Sir, if we tell him this, if we tell him his wife is alive, then we tell him," Kallus said coldly, "the Emperor will want to know, and so will Vader." Deep in his meditation chamber, Darth Vader suddenly stood. The Force screamed around him, loud, violent, undeniable. He had felt it before, that presence, that impossibility, and now he understood. Padmé. Her name left his lips like a prayer and a curse. The throne room was silent. Emperor Palpatine sat above, watching, waiting. Before him, kneeling in the shadows, was Darth Vader, and in Vader's hand, the report. "Read it aloud, Lord Vader," Palpatine said, his voice smooth as poison. "I wish to hear your reaction." Vader's breathing was loud, mechanical. His gloved fingers trembled as he held the datapad. "Padmé Amidala," his voice cracked. "Dot is alive." Silence. "And there is more, my old friend." Palpatine purred. "Tell me, what else does it say?" Vader's mask turned toward the Emperor, slowly, dangerously. "She gave birth, before her supposed death, to twins." The word hung in the air like a blade. A boy and a girl. Vader rose to his feet. The Force trembled around him, violent, unstable, raw. "You told me she died. You told me I killed her. I told you what you needed to hear," Palpatine said calmly. "You were weak, Anakin. Broken. I gave you purpose. I gave you power. You gave me lies. The room shook. Lights flickered. Vader's rage poured out like fire, but Palpatine only smiled. Your wife lives, yes, and your children, hidden, no doubt, by Kenobi and Organa. But tell me, Lord Vader, what will you do now? Will you hunt them, kill them, or, he leaned forward, will you save them? Vader stood, frozen. His mind was chaos. Padme, alive. His children, alive. Everything he had done, every atrocity, every life taken, it was all built on a lie. Where are they? Vader's voice was barely a whisper. Palpatine's grin widened. That, my apprentice, is what you must discover. Vader turned without a word. And as he left the throne room, one thought burned in his mind. I will find them. And this time, no one will take them from me. Darth Vader no longer trusted the Emperor. And that changed everything. He stood alone aboard his superstar destroyer, the Executor, staring into the void of space. His fists clenched, his mind raced. Padme was alive. His children were alive, and Palpatine had hidden them from him. For 15 years, Vader had believed he killed her. That guilt, that unbearable weight, had kept him chained to the dark side. But now he knew the truth, and the chains were breaking. Admiral, Vader said, his voice cold and sharp. Admiral Piet stepped forward nervously. Yes, my lord? I want every intelligence report on rebel activity, every intercepted transmission, every suspected safe house. Vader turned toward him. And I want them delivered to me. Only me. Piet hesitated. My lord, the Emperor has requested full transparency on. I do not answer to the Emperor's requests. Vader said quietly, I answer to no one. Piet paled. Of course, Lord Vader. As the Admiral left, Vader returned to his meditation chamber. He reached out through the Force, searching, hunting, feeling. Somewhere in the galaxy, Padme was alive. His son, his daughter, he would find them, but not to serve the Empire, to save them. On Coruscant, Emperor Palpatine sat in his throne room watching holographic surveillance feeds. His yellow eyes gleamed with dark amusement. You sense it, don't you, my apprentice? He whispered to himself. The pull of the light. The weakness you thought you buried. He smiled. Let him search, let him hope, and when he finds them, Palpatine's fingers drummed against the armrest. I will take everything from him, again. But across the galaxy, on a rebel base hidden in the stars, Padmé Amidala stood before a tactical map, and she felt it too. A presence in the Force, familiar, dangerous. Anakin. The moon of Vision was cold and gray, perfect for an ambush. Vader's shuttle touched down, flanked by stormtroopers. Intelligence reports had confirmed a rebel leader was here. High value, strategic. But Vader didn't care about strategy anymore. He cared about the truth. The hangar doors opened. Smoke drifted through the air, and there, standing alone in the center of the room, her, Padmé Amidala, Vader froze. For the first time in 15 years, he couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. She looked older, tired, but her eyes, those eyes were the same. Anakin, she said softly. The sound of his name, his real name, struck him like a blade. You're alive, Vader whispered, his voice breaking through the mask's distortion. I've always been alive, Padme said. Tears filled her eyes. You just stopped looking. They told me you were dead. His voice rose, raw and furious. Palpatine told me. Palpatine lied, she said, stepping forward. And you believed him. You chose him. Vader's fists clenched. I had no choice. I lost everything. I lost you. You didn't lose me, Anakin. Her voice cracked. You left me. On Mustafar. You chose power. You chose the dark side. I chose to save you. Vader roared. The Force exploded around him. Debris lifted into the air. But Padme didn't flinch. Then why am I still fighting against you? She asked quietly. Silence. Behind Vader, stormtroopers raised their weapons. My lord, orders! Vader stood frozen, his breathing loud, unsteady. Kill her, capture her, bring her to the Emperor. That's what he was supposed to do, but he couldn't. Stand down, Vader said. The troopers hesitated. Sir? I said stand down. Padme stared at him, her heart breaking. What happens now, Anakin? And Vader had no answer. The throne room doors exploded inward. Emperor Palpatine looked up, amused, and then he saw them. Darth Vader, Padmé Amidala, and beside them 2 young warriors, burning bright in the Force. Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa, the family he thought he'd destroyed. Impossible, Palpatine hissed. No, Vader said, his voice steady. Inevitable. He had told them everything. His children, his wife, the lies, the pain, the 15 years stolen from them. Luke had looked at him with anger, Leia with distrust, but Padme had reached for his hand. We end this, she had said, together. And now they stood before the Emperor, united. Palpatine laughed, a cold, cruel sound. You think love will save you, Anakin? You think your family will redeem you? I don't need redemption, Vader said. I need justice. Lightning erupted from Palpatine's hands, wild, vicious, unstoppable. But Luke and Leia stepped forward. Lightsabers ignited. Blue and green blades crossed, deflecting the storm. Padme fired her blaster, precise, deadly. Palpatine staggered, and Vader stepped into the light. He reached out with the Force not in anger, but in purpose. He grabbed Palpatine, lifting him into the air. This is for the lies, Vader said. For the pain. For everything you took from me. You cannot kill me. Palpatine gasped, his face twisted in fury. I am the Senate. I am the Empire. No, Padme said, stepping forward. You're just a man, and your reign is over. Vader hurled Palpatine into the reactor shaft. The Emperor's scream echoed through the throne room, and then silence. Vader collapsed to his knees, his breathing labored. The mask cracked. Smoke rose from his armor. Padme knelt beside him. Luke and Leia followed. Anakin, Padme whispered, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, he breathed, for everything. Luke took his father's hand, and the Skywalker family was whole at last.